The night the stars fell, the village of Darrow's Hollow was blanketed by a sky unlike any other. The clouds, thick with humidity, parted to reveal the darkness above in a way that felt unnatural, like the heavens themselves were shuddering. Then, a sound like thunder echoed across the valley, not the rumbling of distant storms, but the sharp crack of something breaking apart in the sky. The villagers stepped outside, their breath caught in their throats as the air vibrated with a strange, electric pulse. It was then that they saw it, a fireball streaking across the heavens, cutting through the fabric of the night like a falling star. It crashed near the edge of the forest, just beyond the creek that ran through Darrow's Hollow. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and the village fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the distant hiss of the meteorite's heat, still burning beneath the earth. But the meteor was not the most startling thing they would find. There, cradled in the center of the impact site, lay a child. Elena Harrow was the first to reach the site. She had always been the curious one, the first to explore, the one whose heart raced at the possibility of something new. As a child, she'd been the first to climb the tallest oak tree by the creek, the first to cross the rickety bridge that connected the village to the world beyond. And now, as a young woman of 25, she was the first to approach the glowing, smoldering crater that was the result of what could only be described as a falling star. Her footsteps were careful, her breath shallow as she approached the center of the devastation. A quiet whimpering sound reached her ears, and she knelt down, her heart racing. There, lying among the charred remains of the meteorite, was a child. The baby was swaddled in what appeared to be remnants of a shimmering, metallic material that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly glow. Its skin was a pale, translucent blue, almost glowing under the moonlight. Its hair, long and silver, shimmered as if each strand was made from starlight itself. She reached out, her fingers trembling as she touched its tiny, warm hand. The moment their skin made contact, a jolt ran through her. It wasn't a shock, but more of a sudden surge, like an electric current. Her vision blurred, and for a moment, she thought she saw something, no, someone, standing in the distance, watching her with an expression of immense sadness. It was gone as quickly as it had come, but the feeling lingered. The child's eyes opened then, two brilliant orbs of silver that reflected the moonlight. It made no sound, no cries, only staring at her with an eerie calm. "You're not from here," Elena whispered, her heart in her throat. "Where did you come from?" As the days passed, the child, who Elena decided to call Cassius, meaning the fallen star, grew at an alarming rate. Within a month, he was no longer a baby, but a toddler with strange, glowing eyes. He moved unnaturally, his actions deliberate and unnerving, as if his very being were out of place in the world. It wasn't long before Elena noticed that Cassius wasn't like other children. He had no memory of where he came from, only fragments of visions that seemed to haunt him in his sleep. Occasionally, he would mutter words in a language she didn't understand, something that sounded foreign, ancient, and yet incredibly familiar. But it wasn't just his speech that was odd. Cassius had powers. Abilities that seemed to defy logic. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Cassius reached out toward the flames. The flames seemed to respond to his touch, twisting and flickering with an intensity that was unnerving. Elena gasped as the fire rose and danced in his small hands, forming shapes that shifted with his emotions. "Stop," she whispered in fear, afraid the fire would consume them both. But Cassius looked at her, his silver eyes glowing with a deep, quiet power. With a flick of his wrist, the fire extinguished itself, leaving only a faint, lingering warmth in the air. "I didn't mean to," he said, his voice soft and strange, not quite fitting the child he appeared to be. Elena, unsure of what to make of the situation, could only nod. "You have to be careful, Cassius." but she knew something deeper was at play. This was no ordinary child. Word of Cassius' strange abilities spread through Darrow's hollow like wildfire. Some viewed him as a miracle, a gift from the stars themselves. Others saw him as a curse, a warning of impending doom. Among those who feared him was an ancient order of watchers who had been observing the world for centuries, beings not of this earth, but from somewhere far beyond the stars. They knew of the coming of the fallen star, and they knew the significance of the child it brought. As Cassius' powers grew, so too did the whispers of the hidden alien species that walked among humanity, their true forms cloaked in illusion. These beings had once lived openly on Earth, but had retreated to the shadows when they realized their existence threatened the balance between the two worlds. They had waited, watching, until now. The child, Cassius, was the key to the prophecy, a being who could either bind the two worlds together or tear them apart. One night, a figure cloaked in shadows approached Elena's cottage. The air around them hummed with a strange, almost palpable energy. "You don't understand," the figure said, its voice deep, resonating with an authority Elena could feel in her bones. "The child must be stopped. His presence here threatens everything." Elena's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" The figure lowered its hood, revealing a face that was both human and alien, its skin the color of the night sky, its eyes like twin black holes. "I am of the Watchers, and we have seen the future. Cassius is not meant to exist in this world. His powers, they will awaken the others. They will come for him." Elena recoiled, the weight of the words pressing down on her. "What do you want with him?" "To stop him. To prevent the destruction he will bring. He is the bridge between worlds, and if left unchecked, both will crumble under the weight of his power." The days that followed were filled with fear and uncertainty. Elena struggled with the knowledge that Cassius' very existence was a ticking time bomb. She loved him as if he were her own flesh and blood, but the Watcher's warnings weighed heavily on her. One night, as Cassius stood by the creek, staring at his reflection in the water, Elena approached him. "You have to leave," she said softly. "There's something inside you, something dangerous, and if you stay here..." Cassius turned to her, his eyes silver and full of sorrow. "I don't belong here, do I?" "No, Cassius, you don't, but I can't let you go alone." A pulse of energy rippled through the air as the ground beneath them trembled. The alien species had arrived. Elena felt a tear slip down her cheek as Cassius reached out, his tiny hand brushing her face. The fire within him was becoming too strong to control, and she knew that this moment would change everything. With a single, whispered word, the sky above them shattered like glass. Years later, Darrow's Hollow was quiet again, the village largely untouched by the chaos that had once threatened its existence. But somewhere, deep in the heart of the stars, the true power of the fallen star began to awaken, and Earth would never be the same. The end, or the beginning?